Hello and welcome to Radio Free Nintendo. It is December 19th, 2024, and this is episode 906. We are recording this episode, going to be a bit shorter, and next week's episode back-to-back, because we're going to be taking the holidays off, but we're going to give you 2 episodes anyway, even though we're not going to be around. The next episode we're going to record is on the 2nd of January. So if any weird news pops up between now and then, and you're like, why didn't they talk about it? Well, because we already recorded these. So that's that. It's the holidays. We're going to be taking some time off for ourselves and just kind of relax for a bit and enjoy being time away. And I promise you, you'd get the retroactive before January 1st, and you're going to fucking get it like 90 hours before, but it's still coming in 2024. So I win. I'm joined today by Mr. Guillaume Vayette.
Good evening.
Mr. Greg Leahy.
Ahoy, hoy, everyone.
And Mr. John Lindemann.
Great to be here, James.
John's back. He's on a weird microphone. We'll all get through this together. It's fine. He joined us for he's our road correspondent. Mm-hmm. And we're making do. You never get mad when somebody's reporting from a war zone, which he may or may not be. That their audio quality
can't confirm or
not
deny. I would be killed if I did. So either way,
what's weird is he's not, and he would still be killed for confirming it. This is not going to be the retroactive from Professor Layton in the Curious Village. If you are still playing the game, you can still post about it in the Nintendo World Report Discord. That episode comes out next week. We are going to be doing a listener mail segment, and we're going to wrap the show at the end of that. So, we're aiming for maybe a little bit over an hour, just to give you a little bit of how the sausage is made. I can see the listening numbers, and I can tell you the week of Christmas and New Year is like the worst. I mean, just the worst in terms of listeners. So, not that you're the worst. Let me be clear. I'm not calling you, dear listener, the worst. I'm saying in terms of people who listen, it is a significant drop-off. So doing a shorter episode because people aren't at work, so they're not listening to podcasts while they work. That's basically the gist of it. So anyway, email. When you have an email, not when you receive an email, when you send an email, well, I guess you could forward us an email. You send it to an email address. And John, I want you, it's been a while, to tell us that email address.
RFN at NintendoWorldReport.com. That is RFN at NintendoWorldReport.com.
That's correct. He kind of said that like he was being held hostage. I don't know how I feel about that, but maybe the I will be killed is an actual thing, and I was just making a joke, so that's worrying. When people send us emails, we then proceed to attempt to answer them. And we're going to start with 2 this week. I'm going to let John read the first one, but I'm going to put a caveat in front of it that this email has 2 parts. One of them is a game. One of them is the question. We're going with the question. If we have time today, we might wrap around and do the game as well. But for right now, we're just going to do the question. So John, would you read the first email?
Certainly. Okay, Jared writes, I also have a question. I often hear people say that the new big game is one of their favorite games ever. It's got me wondering if you paragons of gaming discernment have a largely permanent list of 5 greatest games, or if you regularly update it. Mine has largely stayed the same with Zelda 3, Civilization 2, Uncharted Waters 2, Knights of the Old Republic, and Europa Universalis 2. So like I said, I don't update it much. Is this even something you guys devote much thought to?
Wow. I want to be clear. Well, first off, there's a lot of 2s going on in that.
A lot of sequels improve on the first attempt.
Seeing Uncharted Waters 2 here actually blows my mind. I feel like that's a game that I'm the only human being who played sometimes.
You talked about it on the show, didn't you?
I did. During the summer of Too Hot for Games. It was a Too Hot for
Where
Games.
else would one go in the summer of Too Hot for Games but Uncharted Waters?
Yeah, exactly. To see. I fled to the ocean. It was really good. It's kind of like shockingly good. I talked about Sagres that is attempting to do that, but it's much more arcadey and not nearly as like simulator oriented. But yeah, I'm kind of stunned to see that on there. But like seeing somebody with EU2 on there, it's like, okay, no, I get where this individual's brain is at, and like, yeah, no, I can see how Uncharted Waters would scratch that particular itch. If you're not familiar with EU, Europa Universalis, it's like a world domination game, but it's almost entirely spreadsheet oriented. And I enjoy it, but like, man, if you were coming as going, I love strategy games. Nope. It's not like that. It is its own fucking thing.
Now, is this is it like EVE Online spreadsheet, or is it like me playing Oblivion spreadsheet?
I would say it's neither, but I would say it's closer to EVE Online of like,
yeah,
I need to understand the implications of the economic trade agreements I'm working out with the Kingdom of Java as I'm planning to actually invade them in the next 6 to 10 years. But I want them to know that right now from Mysore, I'm not trying to invade them. I am fully planning to invade them.
Mm-hmm.
It's that kind of like, I need to spend 14 hours reading up on what I'm going to do when I try to invade like one of the 19 principalities in Central Europe. It's that kind of shit. So, it's pretty coked out. Like, it is a coked out video game. You are going deep. So, yeah, this is a list. All right, gents, have you updated your lists like recently?
I guess it's, I don't know, like updating the list. I don't know. I feel like there's always games that stay there, and it's just like what can be added.
Well, all right, give me an example. What's a game that's never going to escape?
Probably a game that would never escape would be like Super Metroid, something like that. Guillaume, I know you've been chomping at the bit.
Well, I just what's changed is not the list. It's the fact that like keeping a list at all. I don't keep a list of my favorite games of all time, and I feel like whenever I revisit old shows or old movies that I used to really really love, and games also, like I can't quite get into them the way that I got into them back then. And so that kind of has me completely like questioning like what I liked about them in the first place, or like sometimes also like I feel weird about it because it will be like something that I obsessed over for a long period of time, and then I was done. And if I try to go back to it, it's almost embarrassing.
Nice.
But yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, like it's I guess Chrono Trigger for me has probably its permanent spot, because to me like it's still the RPG, the Japanese RPG that I keep comparing other JRPGs to. Like to me it's the perfect length. It's just really well balanced. You get through it, and like if you do all the battles, like usually your party is perfectly equipped to face whatever the game throws at you. And it's got really memorable characters and set pieces, and the story's not half bad. Like it holds together. So to me, like those are all the elements that kind of that make up like the RPG. It's my ideal RPG, I guess, in some way. But as for the rest of the top five, I really like at certain point, like people were asking questions like, oh, what's a game that you keep going back to or that you revisit every year? Some people have that, like during the holidays, they'll be like, okay, I'll just play through Zelda 2, or I'll just play through Super Mario 1. And for a bit, I thought like, oh, for me, I think that would be ActRaiser. It's very short, and I don't tire of it, except that I did. I absolutely don't.
It's a very difficult game, and I can see getting sick of it.
Yeah, like the strategy bits are a little bit like very simple, very but they take up a lot of time because you have to wait for your village to grow and then for something to happen so that you can upgrade it. And then yeah, like the action is not the best action, and yeah, like it's pretty tough. So eventually, like I just kind of stop before I'm done, and I've stopped trying to be like, okay, I'm just gonna play through it now, the whole thing. Like usually, yeah, I've realized that no, that game is not that for me.
That's fair.
Anyway,
Yeah.
we can move on to someone else. Like I mean, like Link's Awakening. I grew up with it. I played the shit out of it,
Yeah.
and when the remake came out, I flat out said, I can't play this game anymore. I just can't. Don't make me. I watched Ken play through it. That was enough. But like I remember every single thing about it. I don't need to play it again. So, yeah.
Yeah, well,
I,
it makes sense. Absolutely.
I don't know that like we've done the what's your list email before, where it's like, hey, how many like what's your top 5 games or top 3 games or whatever, and I usually have an answer for it. But the reality of the situation is, if you were to go find every time we did that question, and I don't know that you could, but if you were to do it, you would get different answers, maybe even wildly different answers. Just because I oftentimes don't think in those contexts. I don't like best of list in my head. But I would say that there is how to word this. There are games that I think are amongst my favorites that I do not think are the best games I have played. I don't think Ogre Battle is amongst the best games I have played. That game has got all kinds of weird fucked up shit in it that's just not right. But I enjoy the hell out of it because it's really fun for me. I find that game to be like intensely enjoyable. To the point where I constantly push back on the urge to go play it again. But to Guillaume's point of like, hey, this game you've played over and over again. I've played that long ass game like 5 times. So obviously I don't respect my own time. Now, I haven't played it in a decade. I tried. Like I've sat down and gone, I should just play this again. I should stream myself playing this again. And it'd be like, no, it'd be fucking nightmare. It would take 3 months to get through it if I streamed like 1 mission a week or 1 mission a day. It's like 40 missions. No, I'm not going to do that shit. But there is something about games like that I really enjoy, that I know are like, no, this game's actually got a ton of issues, versus games that I look at and go like, this game is remarkable in a degree of polish and cleanliness to it, especially in the moment of time. So like, I would say for its impact, and this is one of those things where it's like, what's the impact of the game? Like, I would put something like a Mario 64 up there. Is it the best version of that exists at this moment in time? No, it is not. Like, multiple Mario games have superseded it in differing metrics of like how you judge the quality and the enjoyment of that game. But in terms of like, we played it, what was it, about a year ago? And that was like my 5th, 6th time playing that game, and I was kind of dumbfounded at how much fun I was having. Just like, yeah, I love this game's great. And this is early fucking days 3D gameplay. But other things shift in and out all the time. Like Breath of the Wild's on there because of all of the shit it did, and all of the ways at which it just constantly fed the dopamine receptors in my brain. The same person who I talked about on this show would go out in Xenoblade Chronicles X having planned like an objective. Like, I'm going on an expedition to go explore. You know, we've had this where somebody asked about role playing in games. This is legitimately that. It's like, I'm exploring this world. I'm gonna plan. Like, I have not been over there. I don't know what's there. I have an arc on the map I've drawn in my head, and I'm gonna follow it and figure out what's going on there, and then mark things I want to come back to later. And spending a whole afternoon on one trip through Oblivia because I'm just like, getting distracted or getting stuck or trying to figure out what I'm going to do. And Breath of the Wild just preys on that impulse. It's obsessive. But I think that Tears of the Kingdom is a mechanically more interesting game, but it didn't remove it from the list. So I would say that the list, such as it is ephemeral, even without the insertion of new games. And even if I don't change, it's entirely mood based. How am I today? What am I picking? Because I could see an argument where there would be a day where you ask me and Breath of the Wild's not there, and Xenoblade X is. Even though I think Xenoblade X is a fundamentally extremely odd game. It's a very odd duck. Now, in terms of like older stuff, I mean, is there anything older than the N64 on the list for me? That's a fun and interesting question, and I don't know that I have an answer to it. Maybe not, but that might speak to the fact that, I had an NES late, and we've talked about it. My NES library was the worst. Many, many, many games on Jeff Gerstmann's NES list that are in his bottom 150. 6 of them, of the 12 games I owned, are on his bottom 150, which is wild because I think the list is only 200 long right now. Some of them infamous. And then I didn't have Super Nintendo. So the next time I really got to engage was the N64. So maybe that's more a reflection of that than anything. But there are definitely games that people think are truly revelatory. Shoot, I'm blanking on Link to the Past. That I just didn't really enjoy Link to the Past that much. The weird stuff in that game didn't hit me right when I played it when it came out on the GBA. So, it is probably a big function of when did you play this game in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's been a conversation going around on Blue Sky and probably other social media. Basically, I think that they were sharing an actual study that showed a graph where when people thought the best music came out, the best movies came out, the best TV, etc., and always went up at around 12 to 15 years old. So no matter which generation they were polling, it was always that era around 15-year-old.
Yeah.
And so you can assume also perhaps that games also fit in that that pattern.
And it makes sense because that's the taste making period. Right. That's the reason it's that way. That's when your tastes are formed, and the things that you play form those tastes.
Right. And at that point you still haven't experienced enough things to be jaded about them, you'll listen to something, you'll be like, holy shit, I've never heard something like this is the best. But then the more that you hear a lot of music, the more games you play, oh, this is derivative, I played something like this before, because you've got more and more baggage, basically. You know more and more games you've seen. So yes, things have to become a little bit less special every time, which is kind of sad to say. I kind of regret saying it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it's different for different people. There is going to be variation in that, but obviously if you're doing a study, it's going to be what's the prevailing kind of pattern, and it doesn't surprise me that would be the prevailing pattern, that that kind of period would kind of oftentimes yield that kind of that it kind of developed enough kind of sense to appreciate something more intensely, but the lack of baggage, as Guillaume put it, that you don't just kind of dismiss certain things as being derivative of this, or I don't really care about that. So yeah, it's you could see why it would be a sweet spot. It makes sense, certainly.
And around that time too, that's when you're kind of trying to kind of say who you are. So it's the things that you like, you become intensely attached to them. because you're like, this game, this represents me, this band or this music represents me. So always around that time period, it's like you think this stuff is the best because at the time it represented you so
All right,
much.
John. I'm gonna ask. Growing up, what would be the band that represented you?
I don't know. That's a very loaded question.
I know
Um,
that's why I asked it.
uh, in I don't know, in reality or me in my head, it's
Oh
like,
well, 13-year-old John. What was he listening to?
what was I listening to? I mean, rap of some sort.
I'm trying to I was trying to figure out what era it would have been at that point.
It would have been 80s, so it would have been probably like late. It would have been later 80s. Yeah, so it would have been, like a lot of like uh, Eric B. and Rakim, LL Cool J, Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince, like all the stuff, all the rap that was big in the late 80s, Public Enemy, stuff like that. That's what it would have been.
There you go. All right, that makes sense. I can see that. I can see getting there. I do like the dichotomy of Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince and Public Enemy. It's nice.
That's how it was back then. There was like nobody knew what worked, so it wasn't just like a bunch of like, drill rappers doing all the same thing. Um,
It's like the rap that's all right. Your parents would be like, oh, that's a little bit much. To whoa, what the fuck?
yeah, yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful.
But
It's beautiful.
but yeah, but I mean with games though, it's kind of the same thing. I mean, a lot of my stuff is dominated with that Super Nintendo era. But I mean, that's the thing. I feel like there's like an objective list of the best games ever, which I feel is kind of boring most of the time. I think it's more interesting, like people's personal top tens, where like these are the games that are not maybe the best ever, because that's actually a kind of an easier discussion to have, right? Because Mario 64 is going to be on there, Ocarina of
Right.
Time is going to be on there. All the same games will keep coming up in that list. But for me, it's
And
sort of like the games that like meant something to me, like like Space Harrier, for example. I love that game when it was in the arcades, just because of the soundtrack and the FM synth music was amazing. Really blew me away at the time. Um, and then there's stuff like Final Fantasy VI, where I happen to play that instead of Chrono Trigger, so I like it more than Chrono Trigger. And maybe if it would have been the other way around, I would be sitting here and I would be an absolute Chrono Trigger fanatic. But because I played Final Fantasy VI first, I'm like, yeah, Chrono Trigger, it's cool. But people are like, it's the best game ever. And I'm like, just don't see it. It's
but
really good. It's really
but
good for an
which
RPG of that time period.
but which one's handheld port did it take you longer to play?
DS port, I was playing for years.
Yeah,
Years. I
they
don't.
never. It's shocking, that they kind of stopped at 4 with
It
the
is.
D,
It
because they
is.
did 3 and 4, those polygonal kind of remakes, and then there wasn't more. I mean, of course, they had only just done the GBA versions, though. It's like GBA Final Fantasy 6 was, I've mentioned a few times, I think was like 2007, which was solidly overlapping with what they were doing with the polygonal remakes on DS. So I guess that's some of the reason, but it's still kind of incredible. I know we've had the pixel remasters, but that we're sitting this far into nearly 2025, and they haven't actually remade 6. It's kind of mind blowing. But I guess when you take decades and 3 games to remake 7, I guess maybe that's some of the reason why.
Like 6 kind of doesn't. Trying to think what they've done with 6 at all, if anything.
Well, I mean, I'm sure, I assume there's like mobile versions,
Oh
and
yeah,
you
yeah.
had the GBA version, and presumably like a PlayStation version, and the Pixel
Yes.
remaster. Like they've never really gone beyond the original, a Super Nintendo version as the foundation. You're not the same way that like I said, you talk the polygonal remakes of 3 and 4, what they're doing with 7, they haven't gone to that kind of place with it. Or indeed, like, even something probably as much as like with 4, you had the polygonal remake, but you also had that like complete version on PSP or whatever, that kind of bundled in
Right.
like the after years and stuff. Like, I don't know whether there's even been something kind of that significant for 6 to this point, but yeah, you kind of feel like it's like it's got to happen one day, right? I know, like
Yeah.
Final Fantasy VII is again just like the kind of this throttling their bandwidth for like Final Fantasy nostalgia, but you gotta think it'll happen eventually.
When I look at those, as you call them, the objective list, like I remember when
I mean, obviously, there's no such thing as that.
I know.
You know, I know what John means, though,
list.
in terms of like the games that will keep coming up, mostly because of their impact. To go back to that word that you used, James, but that not just like sometimes when we talk about impact, it might be a personal one. Right, like it had a big impact on me. It was the first time I played this kind of game, and it, helped shape your taste for those sorts of games for years to come. But in the industry-wide sense, in terms of what did this mean for the medium, and what kind of trailblazing did it do for game design and all that, and that's where things like Final Fantasy VII, Mario 64. Super Mario Brothers will keep coming up all the time, right? Because they either kind of significantly innovated or popularized elements and, game design sort of archetypes that would then be iterated on for decades to come and have huge ramifications for the shape of the industry. Those sorts of things are going to be in those kinds of lists, which is very different from somebody just thinking about, what are their favorite games.
Right.
But it's still subjective. It's still, you're still
Absolutely.
making a subjective assessment of what was a significant impact or what should be considered for, how much do we weigh something at a big impact to, how fun is it to play today? Which goes back to what you were saying about Mario 64. It's like, if you were just recommending somebody to play a 3D Mario platformer, I wouldn't recommend 64 to them. I would recommend something else. But should that be weighed against it in that kind of list? That's a subjective call.
Yeah, I'd agree. But it's still very interesting to me to go like, like there are a lot of fun ways to break that down, and I think that's part of the reason why when I answered this question, it's always very ephemeral. Is like, where's my brain processing? Do I jump straight to impact? Do I want to get fucking indie snob and just start throwing out games that most people haven't thought about? Because that's just like where my brain gets to. It's like, well, I'm gonna throw out games that people haven't really given much. Have you ever thought about Sparkster? You should think about. No, don't fucking think about Sparkster in this conversation. But like, part of me goes back to like old DOS games I played because I had access to those, but also because I think there are genres that have effectively died that were still important to the medium, and the best examples live in that time space. And so like, if you were to ask me like what kind of game I played growing up, like I played a lot. And John, you might be the person I name check this will actually remember it. I played a lot of fucking Hellbender and Fury 3, like these old DOS games where they were like first person cockpit shooters flying, a lot of Descent, shit like that.
Yeah.
Those games don't really exist anymore, but like I still think they're kind of amazing at what they were. So I don't know. It almost feels like my answer is going to be a perspective on where my brain's at. There's definitely not a stone tablet. No, I haven't had to use whiteout on a piece of stone to cover up my once adoration of I don't know. Let's go with something completely asinine. Tales of Symphonia. I almost said Dawn of the New World by accident, and that would be a nightmare. That game's a fucking nightmare. Also, apparently they implied very strongly at the Namco Bandai thing that they had this week that they're gonna remake Tales of Symphonia Dawn of the New World, which they can't remake Tales of Symphonia correctly. They're gonna remake the bad one, the bad sequel. Oh boy. Oh, don't play that game. That holy shit. Oh my god. Like if you get upset about like the power of friendship shit, well, love is the power that turns dreams into reality gets said like 42,000 times. Oh my god. Also,
now I'm imagining the Jiminy Jilliker situation. I've said love is the power that turns dream into reality so many times. The words have lost all meaning.
It does do that.
We've got to do it again from 7 different angles.
It also does that shit with the two Bravely Default and Bravely Second do this a little bit, where we've introduced a problem and we've solved it. But then to have a sequel, we have to introduce a problem that kind of supersedes the first problem. So we basically rewrite the plot of the first game in order to justify there being a sequel. Oh, it's so fucking stupid. Oh, it's so bad. Just a reminder, human slavery was the key plot conceit of Tales of Symphonia. You probably forgot that. There were literally farms where humans were being turned into consumables for half-elves, which may or may not have become space aliens as a consequence of the second game. I don't know. It's fucking nonsense. But yeah, not on the list. Definitely not on the list.
I mean, for me, I've got a lot of overlap with what James is saying in terms of, there's no set list. There never has been, and there certainly won't be in the future. It would vary based on, what you got. And again, I would not even be able to begin to kind of put together some sort of, transitive list of what I believe are the greatest games that I've played, because a lot of that stuff is kind of incommensurable to me in terms of games that are trying to achieve extremely different things. How do you rank them? In terms of some sort of list of how exquisitely good they are. I can't do it. If there's people out there that can, fair play, good luck to them. It's beyond me. So the only kind of list you could ever have would be a much more emotional impact derived one, a personal, kind of one where it's just okay, what games made the biggest impression on me when I played them? And naturally, that's going to skew younger. We've already kind of covered that. I would say, for me, it does not fall so much in the 12 to 15 range. It generally is just kind of a drop off. The younger I am, the more likely it is to be something that's a treasured experience. So going all the way back to the very first games I played, Punch Out, Castlevania, they would be in there if we to have such a list. I think that you couldn't get those out, and then you get games as it goes on. Things like Super Metroid, in the 90s would be one, and then and some late Sin and Punishment in 2000 would be one, I think, pretty comfortably. And then later things, probably would go with Zero Mission in 2004. But yeah, it gradually just kind of tails off. I've said before, it's just, I mean, again, we from what Guillaume already mentioned, I think it's fair to say some of this is just a natural part of the way, people develop and age. For me, I think there's definitely an added element of just, decline in mental health, decline in ability to enjoy anything. So it's very difficult for something to get in at the moment. Well, certainly at the moment, but even any time in the past 15 years or something. So I did, when we had this question, I did kind of think, what are the things, I don't know, maybe they can't get in there because they're just too disadvantaged, right, in terms of not just, the personal stuff, but also, the earlier days of stuff like, the Super Nintendo and the N64 and the NES being the first console I really remember playing, although we did have an Atari before that, but I just don't really remember it. Those impacts of just this is the first time you can remember playing something like this, or it's with Mario 64, it's almost inventing a new genre, right? You can't do that again. It gets harder to do it the more the medium gets older and more complex and develops, right? But so thinking about, what are the games in the last 15 or so years that could actually make a run at it, it's actually quite difficult. But I would say a couple that I would really think about would be Super Mario 3D World. I think is really, really good. Just how much that, and to some extent it should probably almost be a double pack with 3D Land, but obviously 3D Land really nailed the fundamentals, but it was a little bit underbaked, because they did rush it, to save the 3DS from commercial catastrophe. And then 3D World kind of pays it all the way off with more advanced and more varied level designs. Obviously, nicer graphics on the console at the time and stuff. But yeah, especially taken together, those are just like, well, this is the and again, it still has some sort of tie back to a time when you were less jaded and more able to enjoy something, because it really is kind of like, whereas I did love Mario 64 and it was a wonderful game, Super Mario 3D World is what I imagined the 3D Mario game would be like before it actually existed, and they made it happen, and it was great. Like, so that was definitely something that I would consider to have a chance to kind of impinge on those ones that were kind of locked in as favourites early in life. Another I would say is Xenoblade X. I think that is it's like back to what James was saying. Would you go Xenoblade X? Would you go Breath of the Wild? In a way, the fact that Xenoblade X got there first did, I wouldn't say it robbed Breath of the Wild of its impact, because that's just not accurate. Breath of the Wild still had a very big impact on me, but
it's doing something different too.
Yeah, exactly. There are many differences and of quite a different sort of overall flavour of an experience that you're dealing with. But that was a really, really special experience. I really enjoyed it. And, so especially in the last, that's just about in the last 10 years. There's not a lot that I would say. There's plenty of games that you could, that I would play and think, God, this is really, really well constructed. This is excellent work, and I enjoyed it. But in terms of having that emotional, like, that was really something. Like, again, a lot of it's on me. It's not there. I don't respond to stuff the way I used to. But that got close. That got about as close as anything, because it was pretty special.
Yeah, Xenoblade X was the same for me. It was really the last game where I thought, like, wow, that was a really good game. And I just devoured it, right? And most games, it's like I'll play them, unless it's something like, say, like Super Castlevania 4. I'll play that and I'll be like, man, I love this game so much, just because I just think it's great. Everything about it is great. But a lot of new games, it's like I almost kind of look at them like a checkbox. Like, okay, cool, it has that, yep, seen that, okay. And everything is sort of, iterative or built on stuff that's already come before. So it's hard to really, like, even like with my, my recent experiences with VR, I wouldn't say any of that stuff really knocked my socks off. It's like, it's really cool, but it's nothing that I could not even imagine.
It's more of a novelty.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know why I didn't mention it, but like, fucking Ghost Trick. I think maybe the challenge here is like, what's the games where like you feel like a crazy person when you talk about them? You feel like maybe that's the metric that I comes up with the most concrete list for me, where I'm like, yeah, I know exactly what I'm doing. I know what the games are. I know what I care about. It's the games where I'm willing to walk out in front of y'all and just absolutely fucking sound like I'm deranged to try to get you to play it. And so yeah, Ghost Trick falls in that category. Some of the other ones that have fallen in that category, Xenoblade X, like, go back and listen to the Xenoblade X episodes, and I'm banging on the table with a shoe trying to get you to play these games. I'm like, these are important. This game's important, which I know is like a joke quote for us now, but I certainly didn't realize its importance at the time. I do now. But like,
well, I mean, with Xenoblade X, Seren had already been on the show and talked about the Japanese version quite a bit, right? So, I mean, there was some preparation. I mean, I tell you what made a big impact on me was you talking about the first Xenoblade.
Yeah, that's true, because I got it. That
was very much like, because obviously been a lot of talk about, the whole thing of the controversy about NOA seemingly like staying the hell away from it, and the wider picture with like the last story and the other games and stuff that NOA weren't doing and all this kind of stuff. But in terms of the game itself, I knew a little bit about the pedigree, but no direct experience in terms of, I've not played Xenogears or Xenosaga. So, it was a bit abstract to me. And then, you see a certain amount of coverage. I even saw the game running myself at an NOE event in 2011, I think it was. But, when you talked about having actually played it, it was much more like, maybe I should actually play, because even though Europe obviously got it you played the European version, right? I imported it.
I imported it from Guernsey.
But you had it before I did, basically, because again,
Yeah.
I was thinking, even though I was definitely better at like settling into long form experiences in front of the TV in 2011 or whatever than I am now, it was still a bit like, how long is it going to take me to get through? You know, what people say about this, you know, how long is it going to take me to get through it, or you know, how well would I take to it anyway? But you know, that was a big thing of like, no, this sounds, you know, pretty legit, and that eventually, you know, I did get it. It did. That's the thing. I mean, I think X was, you know, a little bit more kind of impactful in certain ways because of that openness that we've talked about with it and the scale of it and stuff. But still, you know, the original Xenoblade had, you know, quite an impact.
It's funny how bad NOA fucked up, and I say that like not to throw Reggie under the bus again because he doesn't give a shit. But like how little they seemed to value that product. And like it's totally justifiable. Nintendo did not have a history as an RPG publisher. Not really. Now they have one now because they've made effectively 4 of these things. 5 if you want to get a little spicy. So they like obviously, they've had an about face, and even NOA regards these games as major events. I mean, we had a fucking direct about Xenoblade 3. Like, a Xenoblade 3 direct. I mean, that's beyond what I would have ever considered possible previously. So, obviously, like, Nintendo's position on these kinds of games has changed. But mine has as well, because, like, I recognize that Nintendo actually can be... you know, if you had told us in the past, like, Nintendo's publishing a JRPG, you'd have gone, like, stay in your lane? That seems a little weird, but okay, I guess. But now, like, yeah, I'm 100% down. And I was kind of annoyed. I mean, I was very annoyed that Nintendo had just chosen to not publish that game in North America. But, you know, obviously history has proven that they are willing to admit that mistake and move on. But yeah, you're right. That game, Xenoblade itself, probably is more game-changing than I give it credit for, because I suspect that a lot of the roles and responsibilities that Monolith Soft has taken on don't happen if Xenoblade 1 isn't the universally revered game that it is. Because, I mean... Its reviews were, you know, just.
Oh
like,
yeah, no, that's true. I don't want to make it look like you were the only person that I'd heard from that spoke well of it. Exactly. Yes, exactly. It reviewed very well with you know, the European press outlets. But it just this when it's more direct, you know, you hear someone and it's more like of an experience based. You know, kind of testimonial, if you like, about what it was like to play it and stuff. It was just kind of relatively kind of compelling in that way to give it a go, you know. And obviously, I'm very glad I did, like, because certainly, you know, that gives it. I mean, 3, I would say, is another one that has been taken together with the DLC. That's up there as well for like experiences in the last 10 years. That's pretty memorable also, I would say. So yeah, but I mean, and again, Ghost Trick is an interesting one because it's like you know, in some ways it's odd to say because it's like it's not even my favorite, you know, wouldn't have been like I don't think like something that I put like at the top of my favorite games of that year, because I think 3D Land came out that year, for instance. So
yes,
yeah, I'm pretty confident that would have been top because I've already mentioned that. But you know, that's the thing. Stuff like 3D Land, you know, it's been superseded since, you know, with 3D World, or, you know, like taken in somewhat different directions. But there's other 3D Mario platformers, or just 3D platformers in general. Or, you know, Skyward Sword came out that year, and obviously there's been other Zelda games since and whatnot. But with Ghost Trick, it's just like it's got this more enduring kind of place in your memory of just like, yeah, that was a kind of a special kind of experience, you know what I mean? It felt like so many things had to come together about like the 3DS and what the market was on that system and everything for that game to come to life the way it did. And I don't know whether anything has ever quite kind of hit in the same way since, and likely won't. It seems like it's just that kind of singular.
Probably, and it's sad to say, but like one of the more recent games on my top 5 would probably be Pikmin 3. And that game is over 10 years old.
No, exactly. Like I said, for me, similar for me, is it? We're like, one of the more recent ones, Super Mario 3D World, Xenoblade X. Like, well, they're like 10 years old, 11 years old.
The Wii U was a
themselves.
long time ago.
No, exactly. And it's like with
feels...
this. There's been so much great stuff on Switch, right? A lot of it that was also on Wii U, but
yes.
There has been
it
great
helps to make it feel
stuff.
more current than it actually is. But these are very, very old games.
Because they keep coming back. Yeah, exactly. Like with the 3D World and Pikmin 3 have come back on Switch, but they're old at this point.
Yeah. Other than that, like mostly I'll have like sometimes I'll play an old game or a remake of an old game, and I'll think, oh, that could have been in my top 5 if I had played it earlier. But instead, like, I'm really enjoying this experience. It's probably not gonna make it into my top games of all time. But yeah, if not for the poor timing, it would have been. Like, I'm thinking of Live Alive, especially, because that game was in conversation with, like, the RPGs of the time. It was trying new stuff. So it was, like, very interesting and original. Even today, like it's fun to play and to see the things that it was trying to do. But yeah, like I can't say like, oh, it's one of my favorite games of all time, because ultimately like it kind of came like 20 years too late for me.
Yeah, no, there's plenty of things like that for me, because I play a lot of old games. I do go back and fill gaps, things that I was always interested in but you couldn't play because we were importing games. There was only so many you could buy, or the availability, whatever it was. But there's probably is a select few where even though you played them later that would have been ideal, I'd still say they're in contention for that kind of rarefied air. Rondo Blood, for instance. I was very much an adult when I played that, unlike, when I played the original Castlevania and Super Castlevania 4, which I just adore, very, kind of cherish kind of experiences. I played as a very young kid, about 4 and 7, I think, when I played those games. But so I was an adult. I talked about playing it on the show, by the time on my Japanese Wii, so I was very much an old man already by then. But it's still just, I liked it so much that it's still like, yeah, this is really, really good. This is, probably the best classic Castlevania, even whether it's quite my favourite, it's harder to say, but just, you the merits of it speak to you enough that you can put it in that kind of category. Also, for me, Super Mario Bros. 3. Because we had Super Mario World before Super Mario Bros. 3 even came out in the UK. So I didn't end up playing Super Mario Bros. 3 until the Virtual Console era. So again, I was old by then. But you see obviously how much of Super Mario World came from 3 when you actually play 3. But also it's just really fun. And it's fun in different ways than World, because it's quicker. In a lot of ways, that snappier kind of level design, and less emphasis on like alternate exits and all this kind of like more exploratory stuff that they have, which definitely has a lot of value. And certainly as a young person playing Super Mario World, it gave you this impression that almost like anything could happen, that like you could find some new exit to a world that would take you some completely other place, which obviously, if you're looking at it with a more analytical mind than a 7-year-old, you could easily, discern that that's not true. But, that was pretty magical. But Super Mario Bros. 3, even as an adult, is just like, this is exquisitely crafted, really tightly paced platforming with loads of variety and ideas. So that I think even with that disadvantage, it's still high up there.
I think we've answered this question and then some a little bit. I will read the next email because it's a game. We have a game. AG writes, "Greetings all and happy 900." All right, close. It's close to 900. In 897, James asked John what the last physical game he bought was, and John said it was Breath of the Wild. I was shocked and appalled that nobody said anything about his copy of Haze that was shipped from Panama City, Panama. Does nobody here remember their Lindemann lore? He's correct.
Problem is, I don't know my Lindemann lore from my Lindemann Apocrypha. That's so difficult to keep track.
Apparently, the Apocrypha is John's memory, and the lore is the lore is the podcast. So, in response to James's request for games, I have created a little quiz about John Lindemann based on what he said on the podcast over the years. This is like stalker behavior. I want to make that clear to our audience. Like this is like I have pictures of you in a room dedicated to having pictures of you behavior. As John doesn't listen to RFN, I think he should take part, as that means the rest of you are all trying to beat John at remembering his own life. But that means you may need someone else to read the questions and answers. I have tried to format it so everyone can take part. The answers will be in a separate email. They are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to load up the answers email, and I'm going to just scroll down to the next answer as we go, after we answer the previous question. I'm going to do my best to not see it. That's going to be hard, but it is what it is. And now I need to find the email titled John Lindemann - the answers. Actually, he did this nice for me. Here are the answers to the episodes on the website. If you're having formatting this right, you just need to highlight the line under the questions as the answers are in wide text. I'll try to add lots of spacing between the top of the email and the answers if the text color isn't working. Here we go. Question 1. It does appear to be working. That's beautiful. All right. Great. So I will read the questions. Just that there's a lot of questions. Keeping score is going to be really hard. Guillaume, can you keep score for me?
I'll try.
Okay. All right. Part 1. Warning. Some questions have multiple answers. I see it easiest to say 1 point for every correct answer. So if the question has 2 answers, 2 points are up for grabs. Part 1. John Lindemann, the judge. What year was the last one to have a 3DS game in John's top 5? Your choices are 2017, 2019, 2020, and 2022. Again, 17, 19, 20, and 22. I'm going to go first, although I think John should go last on his own trivia. I'm going to say it was 2022 because I remember getting befuddled by John throwing one out there one year and going, why now? What year is this? But honestly, any of those years would have been valid to have that reaction.
Yeah, what, considering that, I would say 17's got to be, like, it can't be 17, right? Because, I mean, they had, they still, it was the year the Switch came out, yes. But it was also, like, you still had stuff like Samus Returns and, like, the 3DS was still a bit more alive. So yes. It's too current. It's got to be after that. It's just what after do you go with? And how far do you want to push it? I'm struggling with that. So I am going to say 20.
Okay. Guillaume?
Yeah, I was going to go with 20 as well.
All right.
3 years into the Switch's life is still like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's fair.
But also, it's 2020, right? Like, it makes sense. That year's fucked. Why not?
Yeah.
Like,
you're right.
Could be one of the other ones quite plausibly, but that's my guess.
All right, John, what's your guess?
My guess is 2022.
Okay, so you and I are of a like mind here that you would have been doing this way later than the rest of the team.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I was about to say, gentlemen, what's the answer? But I am the answer keeper. So the answer is The last year was 2022, which included Monster Hunter Stories at 4 and Pocket Card Jockey at 3.
There you go.
2.
Wow.
2 of them. Genius.
Egregious is the word you're looking for, James.
Preposterous. That was the word I was looking for, but okay. Egregious also works. All right, so point for myself and John.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2 under category The Judge. John's top 10 games for the decade, 2010 to 2019. Which ranked higher? A. Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. B. Super Mario Maker. C. Metroid Samus Returns. Or D. Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate. I feel like D's a trap. A trap.
Yeah.
Like
I'm going to go with
those-
the trap. I'm just going to solidly kick that bear trap. And
it's very Indiana Jones behavior of you, Guillaume. I appreciate it.
Can you read those one more time, James?
Yes. Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. Super Mario Maker, Metroid Samus Returns, and Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate.
Okay. All right.
I don't think Mario Maker, just like that doesn't strike me as a game, John, that you would be, over the moon with. It is a very good game. I think Tropical Freeze bullshit bossery might be enough to have soured the reception. I'm gonna go because I know Metroid Dread had the what are those things called? The Eve fights or whatever.
Emmys.
The Emmys, yeah. I know John was not a fan of that stuff, but this game didn't have them. I'm gonna go with Samus Returns.
Yeah, I think it's between Samus and Monster Hunter for where I would guess with this. It's one of those. This doesn't actually make sense as this isn't a good reason to go a certain way when you're making a decision. But it's like, if I don't say Monster Hunter and it is Monster Hunter, I'm going to be more annoyed with myself. So I'm going to say Monster Hunter.
I will
John?
say Samus Returns. I'll say Samus Returns.
All right, so we got 2 Monster Hunters and 2 Samus Returns. The answer is... he put the whole list. Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze at 6, Super Mario Maker at 7, Metroid Samus Returns at 9, and Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate at 10. We were all wrong. It was Tropical Freeze.
Wow. Okay. All right.
John doesn't even know what games he loves. What a show. All right.
Well, I think it depends. Some years we did 10 games, and then some years we've done 5.
Yeah, that was a decade one, which is
that
it's
was
a
a
lot
decade
harder.
one. Decade.
It is a lot harder
Okay.
with
No,
that.
no, you're
because
right. You're right.
You kind of you comparing some again might be like very different genres and other things, but it like just comparing something that's like, okay, Galaxy 2 that I played in the summer of 2010 versus something like Breath of the Wild that you played in 2017. Like it's like that isn't the easiest to so you probably are going to end up with, like, as James said in the first question, like the ephemeral part. Like, yeah, if we'd done that like the a month later, a year later, you might have got very different situations there.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So the next one, I like this question a lot. Number 3, John missed the episode where the others gave their top 5 for 2018. So James and Guillaume presented what they thought should have been John's list. Which one/ones, this is a multi-possible answer, of these games did not make the cut? Night Trap, 25th anniversary version. Santa Tracker. Splat the Fruit. Destiny 2. I feel like Destiny 2 would have been too nice. We would have done something shitty.
Is there something about Splat the Fruit that I'm meant to know? Like,
I don't know.
I
don't know that
thing,
game.
or what the
I'm
hell
just
is
staring at it. Might have been a game that I just threw out when I was reading eShop listings. But yeah, it does not reside in my brain at this moment in time.
No, mine neither.
But Santa Tracker, I guess, would be a shitty eShop game that.
Well, yeah, and it would have been
come
coming
out around that time. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the. Oh shit! No,
we got to go
Because
with what's
that would-
not on it. So
Yeah.
for me, I've got to go Splat the Fruit because I don't see the angle.
No.
But that.
No.
But then again, with that, overthinking trap scenario like that, it's like, well, why else would you put that on there unless it was the one? I don't.
I'm
sticking to my guns. Splat the fruit.
I feel like we definitely would have put Night Trap on there, unless this is too early. The Night Trap wasn't out yet. But I'm going with he didn't put that much effort into it. I'm gonna go with Splat the Fruit and Destiny 2 because I feel like we would have ignored Destiny 2 just to be assholes.
It's like he definitely should have been on there, but that's why you don't put it on there.
Right, exactly.
I'm
going to Splat the Fruit. I'm going to Splat the Fruit.
I like this. This is a John trivia question about us thinking about how John thinks. So John has to think about how we think about him.
But yeah, that's the thing. And so my thought there is, well, Destiny 2 wouldn't be on it because you guys actually would have put it on the list to try to look smart, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Like,
all right.
Well, because we're a little bit legitimate here, right? John would have put Destiny 2 because that's all he plays, or something like that,
All
right, there was some way you could.
You're fine. You're fine.
If only there was some way you could have actually heard what they said, as opposed to have to speculate about it.
Especially because I probably put in the article, "Hey, John, you should listen to this one." There was a period of time where I was doing shit like that just to see if it would work. It didn't work.
No, you don't know how many Barian meals you give him. That is never gonna light up.
No, I'm a bird. I gotta fly free.
I'm gonna go with Splat the Fruit and Santa Tracker.
All right, so the answer, we all get 1 point. It is Splat the Fruit. He didn't say we deduct points for picking more than one answer when only one of them was accurate. Just that you only get one. So I'm gonna give everybody 1 point.
Oh, but then I would have.
I know.
I'm going to say all four answers every time.
Yeah, I know. I thought about that. It's like, wait a minute. You just call 4 answers every time. We're just going to stick with it for this one. We'll figure out what to do next time.
Okay.
What did John say was his favorite game of the first 5 years of Switch? A, Monster Hunter Rise. B, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. C, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. D, Mario Kart Deluxe. John, I'm going to say right now, this will be a very embarrassing miss for you if you get this one wrong. I'm 100% it's Rise. I'm 100%.
It has to be. I mean, I in no universe can I see myself just
because this.
If I was
this would
being
also
honest,
been close to Rise coming out too, so like it would have been the most top of mind.
Recency bias, yeah.
Yeah, it has to be Rise, just because it's I played the living crap out of that game.
I can't wait for it to be Mario Kart and we all look like fucking idiots.
I mean, if I would say again, I already said this about a previous answer. Like, I do not want to go against Monster Hunter, but if it was going to go against it, Zelda, I kind of feel like would have to be the next.
I'm
one,
also
right?
leaning Zelda.
Yeah. So it's between Zelda and Monster Hunter for me. Maybe I'm gonna go Zelda. Screw it.
Okay.
Live dangerously.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Guillaume, are you going to live dangerously as well?
Also, yeah, I think it's Zelda.
Are you going to go full crank too? All right. We shouldn't have because it was Monster Hunter Rise.
Nice.
But that's fine.
It's a bloody good game.
Sometimes we all Monster Hunter Rise. All right. Anyway, next question is number 5. Which of these games has not been on one of John's top 5 games of the year? Xenoblade Chronicles, Xenoblade Chronicles 3DS, Xenoblade Chronicles X, Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. Well, we know X is out because we just talked about it in the last email.
Yeah. Yeah. Really confident that this is impossible.
This is a ones one where it could. Let's discourage just picking all of them.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go first. I'm gonna limit myself to 2 because I don't think John played on 3DS or Definitive Edition. So I'm going with those 2.
Yeah, you know what? I would be. I don't know. I'm not sure if. Yeah, obviously, wouldn't have imported it. I don't think, John, the way
Nope.
you did,
No.
James.
No.
But that wouldn't have stopped it from showing up the year that it did come out in the US.
I'm fairly confident John played the Wii one.
That's what I mean. But it wouldn't have been that. It would have been the year after. I'm trying to think.
Correct.
Because we were talking quite a lot about 2011 because it had Ghost Trick and it had Xenoblade and it had 3D Land and but it wouldn't have been that year anyway. It would have been 12, presumably.
John, did you play Definitive Edition? I've already blocked myself in.
I think I have it. I've definitely played it.
That in no way narrows down the binary question.
All right. Anyway, John, which of these is not one of your top 5 games of a year?
I'll say 3DS.
Okay.
I'll also say 3DS. I trust John here.
That seems like the logical answer, right? I mean, how many people did play it on 3DS?
We all agree 3DS. I also am leaning on Definitive Edition, but now that he says he has it and may have played it, I feel very confident about Definitive Edition.
Full on Schrodinger's box. I'm not going. That's both. But he has and hasn't played it. I'll just stick with 3DS and leave it at that.
Holy fuck! Definitive Edition was on his list apparently. Son of a bitch. Doesn't even remember if he played it, but it's there. So yeah, 3DS was it. That was it. I'm just going to not take a point. I'm going to not take a point.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the rules say I should, but I took a risk and I'll let myself pay for it. All right, we're now in part 2 of the game. This section is called Part 2, John Lindemann, the podcast star. Which of the following of these is/are quotes from John when discussing Muscle March? Jesus Christ. A. Hunky poses. B. Protein fiends. Oh, Jesus.
That sounds more like a Cho Aniki thing than Muscle March, but
keep in mind they are chasing the protein thief. That's the whole premise of the game.
Right, yeah. Disease, I didn't get to play it. Because
that's right.
The gifting was region locked. So Voodoo, who gifted it to everyone that they could, didn't include me. But it did take me ages to edit because I had to recreate my own audio. So I should have an unfair advantage in this. But then, John, it's hard to beat his unfair advantage.
C.
I don't even know what that means.
All right.
Because
hold
it's
on.
all about you.
Let me finish, for fuck's sake. I have to start over. All right. One or more of these are real quotes from that episode. A, from John specifically, hunky poses. B, protein fiends. C, Japanese fever dream. And D, stack of man flesh. I am locking in D right now. That is it. That's the only one. Like, protein fiends isn't the kind of rhyming, like, John doesn't do that kind of rhyming shit. That's closer to my ballpark. I don't know that I've ever heard John refer to anything as hunky, and I don't know that John would have thought this was a fever dream. That feels more like something Johnny would have said experiencing that game.
So this is very definitely, there's one correct answer with this.
There is at least one correct answer, yes.
At least one, but so there might be more.
I mean, it says quotes/quotes.
Yeah, that's right.
I've already checked my answer. I know what the correct is here. Do you all want to know if there is more than one answer or not? I did not have this information at the time.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
To try to keep it the same.
So I'm going to go with all 4.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, I was tempted.
I'm not giving you credit if it's only one.
I was tempted to say that because they're all pretty plausible, to be honest. What was the last one again?
Stack of man flesh. That's the one I'm locked in on.
I can imagine that delivered like an Uruk-hai from Lord of the Rings. Man flesh. I'll go with that one. I'll go man flesh as well.
I'm just going to say that spoke to me in John's voice as I read it. So I was like, oh, man.
John's voice, whereas it spoke to me with an Uruk-hai voice.
Not dissimilar. All right, John, which one of these fucked up things did you say?
I mean, I'll go with Japanese fever dream, I think.
Okay. So there is only one, and it is, in fact, John referred to this game as a stack of man flesh.
Wow. Nice. Go me.
Yeah.
How many years ago was this again? Was this like 2010 or I mean
like 13 plus? Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe 11. Yeah, so it was probably I mean because WiiWare didn't even come along till 08, but I mean I think it was a couple of years in.
All right, so this is a recent one.
What was your answer, Greg?
Manflesh.
Yeah, Greg and I both went Manflesh. Yep. Greg and I both went Manflesh. That I'm just gonna write that down right now. That's the answer. That's the name of the episode. Hold on. I'm just gonna write that
That's
down.
what we ordered
That's
from
another
those
one.
from all those menus that Urukai's apparently select from. We ordered the Manflesh.
I can't believe they cut that scene out of the movie and didn't like that was a key a key chapter in the book.
Yes,
The scouring of the Shire. In episode 898, this is question number 2 of the podcast star. So this is very recent. Which of these did John say described Greg? I actually know this one. I remember this exchange. A, the chaos. B, the passion. C, the logic. Or D, the flavor.
What did John call Greg?
Yeah,
because he was going because I remember this exchange. John was basically saying what everyone's role on the show was.
Yeah,
Okay.
there was some sort of poll about you after this, right? In terms of whether you were the chaos or not.
Yeah, there was. Or if I was the backbone. I demanded people refer to me as the backbone of the show. Which is the kind of
a lot
backbone...
of people would like to be compared to the final boss from Final Fantasy, but apparently not.
People, if I get people to call me the thing I want them to, I must be the backbone of the show. Like I provide structure. But no, did he? I'm just gonna. Actually, no. I definitively know the answer, so I'm going to say last. Because I listened to this exchange like 7 times.
Yeah.
The chaos, the logic, the passion.
Or the flavor.
The flavor.
I believe these are all the things that John called somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I know what my choice is, but...
You're the one that said it, so I would hope so.
I don't, but if you think I have some sort of, perfect recollection of every single thing I've said.
No. I'm not
Exactly.
implying this is a function of memory. I'm just implying that the rubric you originally used to assign these labels would still apply, and that if you just reran the simulation, you would come up with the same answer.
Roughly, yeah. Generally what I've done with the other ones.
I'm going to go with the logic.
Okay.
That's what I would say. I would say the logic.
I think it was the logic. I would say somewhat erroneously, but I think that
I will tell you definitively it was the logic, and now I will check the answer, and it is indeed the logic.
Like, I would think that I would say that Guillaume was the passion, you were the chaos, Greg is the logic. That's probably what I said.
I want to say you said Guillaume was the flavor and you were the passion, but I'm not sure. It might have been the other way around.
Okay. Yeah.
But regardless, number 3, John read an email in episode 410. Fuck no. Oh, never mind. This is. Oh no. John read an email in episode 410 like a character from a certain game. What game was it? A. 187 Ride or Die. B. 50 Cent Blood on the Sand. C. Tony Hawk Underground 2. Or D. Gun. So, John, you never played Blood. I've told you to play Blood on the Sand.
No.
But you've not played Blood on the Sand.
No, I have not. No.
I don't think Underground 2, because Underground 2 is just a bunch of skater people being voice acted, and a lot of it's just hey, and then a bunch of text. I don't recall Gun having any. I'm going 187 Ride or Die because that's the stupidest answer here.
It has to be. Has to be. I don't know who. No, the thing is, who was in 187 Ride or Die? Was it like Snoop Dogg or something?
I don't even remember. Like the fact that it got included is the thing that makes me go like,
yeah.
It's got to be.
I'm pretty sure I wasn't on this one, but I'm also pretty sure I probably heard it. But either way, I've got nothing. I've got absolutely nothing.
Like 187, I'm looking it up right now. 187 Ride or Die is marginal at best racing game from the streets. This is fucking homies rollers with more veiling on the racism, I think.
Mm-hmm.
What awesome. It's an urban street racing vehicular combat video game published by Ubisoft for the PS2 and Xbox in 2005, developed by Virtuous.
That's the good old days where everybody had to have a vehicular combat game.
Jesus. Yeah, I'm going 187 Ride or Die. I feel like John would have played that game. For its absolute absurdity. And I remember the voice clips from that game being fucking weird. All right. We all locked in?
Yep. Well, it's a terrible thing because I've got so little to go on, so I hate to sort of be this blunt about it, but I'm just going to defer to James and say 187.
Nice.
Yeah, same.
All right. It is 187 Ride or Die. I kind of want to go back and listen to that now because I just need to know. All right. Number 4 in episode 854, so relatively recent. What was John introduced as by James? I don't like this at all. A, lover of my heart, definitely wasn't that. B, keeper of the count. C, holder of the keys, and D, captain of the boat. I feel like C is might actually be the weirdest one. Because it's got weird symbolism that I'm not comfortable with.
I've got to imagine James and John as Rick Moranis and Sigourney Weaver in Ghostbusters. Are you the gatekeeper? Are you the keymaster?
Yeah.
So if
I'm
it was
go with keeper of the count.
Keeper of the count, definitely.
Yeah.
That's where I'm going.
Same. Yep. Keeper of the count.
I'm gonna go with that one. It was a keeper of the count. Everybody gets a point, or nobody. Gets
that
a
was
point,
a whole year ago still. So I mean, it's easier than some of this stuff that's over a decade ago, but that's not bad on our part.
I just did process elimination. I would never acknowledge John as the captain of the boat because I've been on a virtual
boat with John, and that's not very captain-like behavior.
And he frequently isn't on the boat, so it's very difficult to captain it as the boat sails away.
More of that Costa Concordia, you getting back on board for fuck's sake, captain behavior.
It's true. He's not an Italian captain. According to the post-Switchmas live show, where did John pre-order his Nintendo Switch? Walmart, Best Buy, Target, or GameStop? Ooh.
Can you repeat? Sorry.
According to the post-Switchmas Switchmas live show, where did John pre-order his Nintendo Switch? Walmart, Best Buy, Target, or GameStop? Now, I remember I got mine from Best Buy. And I remember us talking about it in the pre-episode planning session of us trying to grab them. I don't remember where John ended up, but I think John at that time tended to target pre-orders from, I want to say GameStop, but I feel like this is definitely a trap.
Yeah.
Because I feel like GameStop.
The only guess I've got. The only guess I've got is Best Buy, but that might be because I'm thinking of you, James.
Well, so the reason I'm thinking it's not GameStop is I remember GameStop's website was fucked up. They were all fucked up. I remember that one was real bad.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go. I don't feel like you would have done Walmart. I'm gonna go Target to be different. I'm gonna go Target to be different.
Because Best Buy.
Because a lot of people did get it from Target because their website didn't fucking die.
Yeah.
It was Best Buy. Okay, so you and I both got it from Best Buy. Good job. Everybody but me gets a point. Number 6. Where was John published on the Rare website at one point, and why? His avatar was used in some key art for a Kinect game. His Carrington impression was found by Rare. God, I wish.
we wish so bad. Have they cast Carrington in the reboot yet? I mean,
oh, it's true.
We need to make this happen before it's too late.
Oh my! I mean, assuming the reboot ever actually does happen,
we had like some footage this year, right? Like, so it was somewhat reassuring that it is a thing that's being developed.
C, he published a fast lap time for Diddy Kong Racing. Or D, he complained that the DK64 showed Funky Kong scratching on a turntable, but there was no mixer.
What the hell?
But so the thing is, Rare might have, if John put that in some format where they saw it, they might have put that comment in there. But no, you know what? That's too preposterous. I'm going with DK64 showed Funky Kong scratching on a turntable, but there was no mixer. Because that's the kind of shit Rare would have put on their website in like comments about our game. Because they would have thought that shit is hilarious. And it's pedantry. Now, Rare did put like screenshots of high scores and shit on their website. I don't know if they were still doing... Diddy Kong Racing, they might have still been doing it then.
Yeah, when was that exactly? 90...
Because they did try to have their own community internet presence. That's where
Mr. The back end of 97? Diddy Kong Racing, I want to say. Although,
that's the origin of Mr. Pants, by the way.
Oh, bloody hell.
Yeah, their mascot character for their website, which got a game because they had to take Donkey Kong out of a game that had Donkey Kong in it.
Don't worry, we've got shovel-ready project right here.
We've got a character who's a pun on the phrase that again, in true Rare fashion, would only make sense to somebody from the UK, where you call something a bit pants.
How did those go, by the way? Mr. Pants and Grabbed by the Ghoulies, were they big commercial sensations?
Huge. There's a Grabbed by the Ghoulies movie in production as we speak. It's coming out the same weekend.
The thing is, Microsoft could afford to do that, couldn't they? That's the sad thing. It's going to come out the
same week. There's a fucking Skibbity Toilet movie coming out. There's no rhyme or reason to this shit anymore.
Obviously, Microsoft could afford to do anything, and they do often seemingly just do stuff to bury money out of reach. So why not Grabbed by the Ghoulies cinematic universe?
Somebody just heard me declare there's a Skibbity Toilet movie. And is like, he's fucking bullshitting me. And then Googled it and is now distraught. There is. I'm not making that shit up. You can go Google it. Like I can't explain to you why. But it's real. All right. I'm the only one who's locked in with Funky Kong scratching. Like, it's so stupid. It's so stupid that I like not to besmirch the creative endeavors of our audience, but like, that's a reach. Now, I haven't Googled that scene to see if it's true, to see if there is a mixer. Like maybe I should have done that before I locked in with such enthusiasm. Because what if I get there and there's a fucking mixer? But again, that might also not have precluded John from declaring there wasn't one. Who can say?
I need the options again.
Avatar was used in key art for a Kinect game. Carrington impression was found by Rare. Published a fast last time for Diddy Kong Racing. And complained that DK64 showed Funky scratching on a turntable with no mixer.
I'm going to go with the Avatar, I suppose.
Okay.
I'm going to go with the most mundane one, which is the Diddy Kong Racing lap time. I feel like that's the maybe that's the gag with this question, is the others are too outlandish.
All right, John. This one I feel like I would remember if it was me. Do you remember the answer to this question?
Yes, I do. Yep.
Okay. What is the answer to this question?
The answer is writing into their letters page about Diddy Kong or whoever's doing the scratching not having a mixer. That was what that was.
Oh my God! Is he
Wow.
right?
Wow.
Yep.
That is in fact the answer. Yes. Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
I sent that into their letters page and they printed it.
Oh, I bet they did.
Yep.
Because that's the kind of bullshit they'd be like. Yeah. No, that gets on the page.
Yep.
All right, so point for myself and John. All right. This one's too fucking easy. I'm not even going to give you I'll give you the answers after you say your answer, because if you don't remember this one, you don't deserve the multiple choice. What material did John say, quote, sharpens steel?
Oh, come on. I mean, this is like his catchphrase. I mean, he says it all the time.
That's what I said. You don't deserve the choices. Because he says it because it pisses me off every time he does it. Let's go say it all at the same time. 1, 2, 3. It's iron.
Iron. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to say, I didn't make it up. Iron sharpens steel, baby.
No, it doesn't. It explicitly does not. The other choices were Ronnie James Dio's music, Sega Hard Girls, or the Wii U gamepad. All right. I believe our last section. No, it was one more section. John Lindemann, The Oracle. When has John predicted that a new Metroid Prime game would get announced as part of the RFN predictions section? 2012, 2013, 2014, and 2015. Ooh.
Oh,
I'm going to say...
it could be multiple.
Well, he's always put /S when it was multiple.
Oh, okay.
Did not this one. And I've called it out when I see it. I'm torn between 14. I'm going to go 14. I was thinking 14 or 15.
I would say I would go later on that range, certainly.
Yeah.
But I'll go 13. Right, 13's available, right?
I'll go 15.
Okay.
I'll go 15.
The answer is 15.
Boom.
All right. That's Guillaume and John. What I really want to have happen. It's not going to happen, but I would want John to get last place in this quiz. That would be the funniest fucking outcome.
Well, I did get -3 at some point, so...
That's okay. Well,
I think that, John is safe.
Which of the following games has John predicted would arrive on Virtual Console? A. Illusion of Gaia, B. Mother 3, C. Terranigma, or D. freshly picked Tingle's Rosy Rupee Land? I actually think I remember this one, so I'm going to go last. All right.
For me, it's between Illusion of Gaia and Terranigma.
Illusion of Gaia, Mother 3, Terranigma, or Tingle's Rosy Rupee Land.
Yeah, I think we'd leave the Tingles is that, I doubt John was handicapping what DS import DS games on Wii U Virtual Console. I ain't buying it. So the Mother 3 thing is such a it's a general topic almost. So it's got to be one of the other two, isn't it? Now, Illusion of Gaia, did that just come out in Europe? Is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
So would it have come out as a sort of import game, a little bit like the way that Thingamajigga was at Euphoria, the saga,
yes.
which was obviously it was a Famicom game, but it came in terms of a Western release. I think it was only European. And then Terranigma, I'm not as sort of familiar with.
Lock me on Terranigma. That's my thought. I feel like I remember this conversation, but I could be stupid.
Maybe I'll go Illusion of Gaia, then you will have that one.
There's no /S on this one, by the way.
Sure,
so
sure.
I'm going with Terranigma.
Okay, John?
Terranigma.
All right, the answer is... The answer, highlight... Did he not put the answer? Where's the answer? Why can't I highlight the thing? Oh, there it is, okay. January 2014, John Lindemann predicted Terranigma.
Never happened.
Well,
because
it's in a prediction segment, so no, it never happened.
Right. It's got to be something that one of us said one time. That
there was 1 year I had 3, and I thought the world was going to end. I was like, oh god,
are you less of that opinion now?
Well, no. Unfortunately, the world keeps going. What title did John predict the NX would launch with when making his January 2016 predictions? Galaxy 3, Prime 4, Donkey Kong 128. Sorry, I need a second after Donkey Kong 128. And F-Zero NX.
Oh, it's got the, it's got that name fit with GX and AX.
Yeah.
I'm still not buying it.
No, Donkey Kong 128 sounds like something John would say, though. And that's kind of like where I'm sitting on it. I don't think any of us would have been dumb enough to go, yeah, Prime 4, yeah, definitely. The unannounced Prime sequel is coming.
I've probably got to go with Galaxy 3 just because even though it didn't happen, but it's like, a lot of the time you're going to think that Mario game should be there. Yeah. So that would seem like the most logical thing to say.
I'm going to go with F-Zero because it seems like more of a launch title kind of thing.
Right, yeah, if you're gonna do it at all, like that's the time to do it. Like a racing game that's maybe a little bit of a tech demo, kind of show off what the new system could do. The later it goes, probably the harder it's going to be to find an audience for something like that.
John?
I would say Galaxy 3 just because I think it was too early for me to be thinking Metroid.
Okay. The answer was... It was Galaxy 3, predicted November 2016.
It was, and Odyssey ended up being the first big the holiday game, but because especially with it coming out in March, kind of it makes sense the way it went.
So James and John got points?
No, I did not get points. John got points, and did somebody else say Galaxy 3?
I said Galaxy 3.
Okay, yeah, Greg.
Okay, Greg and John.
Which of these is a genuine 2019 prediction from John? So the fact he felt the need to say this time genuine leads me to think these choices are about to be fucked. A, Switch Online to get SNES games. B, new Zelda announced at E3 that uses Breath... Oh, he means genuine that they were right. Uses the Breath of the Wild engine. C, Devil's Third... No, he doesn't. C, Devil's Third coming to Switch.
It could have been said in jest. You don't know. We say quite a lot of things in jest. Funnily enough.
No. I thought when he saw first genuine, I thought he was just being like, no, I know these are really fucking insane. One of these is real. Then I was reading, and I'm like, oh, no, these things that actually happened. Maybe it means genuine, as in like they actually happened. And then I got to Devil's Third, and I'm like, never mind. D, NSO mobile voice app to be retired. This was 2019.
We were all thinking about. We all needed.
I would argue it was retired from the day it launched.
Retired, as in we had Harrison Ford take it out back and shoot it.
So which of these? Like he didn't do the /S on this one, but I'm wondering if this is a multi.
Well, and also the genuine part. I mean, I like to take from that it's like was not intended facetiously. Maybe that's the other part. So it's like, well, maybe he did say Devil's Third facetiously.
I'm going to lock in on Devil's Third and voice app.
the big talking points. This is our area of comparative advantage as a podcast. No one else talks about these issues, but people care about them.
But like John has a history of doing predictions, not Glitter Metroid level, but just going like, fuck it, here's some insane shit I'm gonna say just for laughs, and I just go like, God damn it. I'm gonna say both of those. Like, I don't. If it's a one answer question, I'll just take a penalty. Whatever.
SNES games.
SNES games. Okay.
Got to be Devil's Third. It's got to be.
God, does it? I mean, I picked it too, so I guess. All right, Greg, where are you at?
I'm gonna go with the SNES games as well. Again, it's just like the most mundane one. I almost hate myself for picking it, but I kind of feel like that's the point, right? It's the answer's hiding in plain sight type of deal.
Well, you're right. The answer is hiding in plain sight because it's all fucking four of them apparently.
Oh, wow.
You know, we had one of those earlier on, didn't we, when Guillaume said, "Are we sure it's not all four of them?" You kind of there probably is going to be a question like that, and here it is. Yeah, but
so I get 2. I get an extra point.
I get that, but
I took the risk.
The word in there is suggesting that John did earnestly predict Devil's Third. I'm not whether I can accept that.
Well, he did. Apparently, he did it. So,
I mean, John might be perfectly capable of delivering it deadpan, like it's earnest. That doesn't mean it wasn't facetious, because we're talking about fucking Devil's Third here.
But arguably, talking about Devil's Third when it is real is facetious. So what's your point?
Just acknowledging its existence is intrinsically an act of non-earnestness.
Making it is an act of non-earnestness.
Oh yeah, was that game made earnestly? Does it look like it to you?
The worrying thing is with
Tomonobu. Not. That's all
Let's say the worrying thing is with Tomonobu Itagaki. The answer might be yes.
Again, yeah, it's just trying to be as inscrutable as possible, isn't it?
Yeah. Part 4: John Lindemann, the Business Master. In the J&J in the 2015 telethon, took a look at some of the most notorious unlicensed NES games. John brought up a trilogy of softcore pornography games for the NES, published by Penetian. I don't know. I think that's the right. Okay, whatever. Which of these games is not a game in the trilogy? I actually know the answer to this one, so I'll go last.
Wait a minute. Let me just backpedal on the name.
Panesian. You tell me how to pronounce that.
That's fucking Jesus Christ. That actually does exist, right? That's not even like
that part's
debatable.
real. Yes, that part's real. Yes, the games are the problem. So 3 of these games, I guess, are real, and one of them is not. He wants us to identify the faker. A, Bubble Bath Babes. B, Hot Slots. C, Hot Spring Surprise. I can't even say that phrase. And D, Peekaboo Poker. These are pornography games on the NES that are not licensed, but one of them is not. One of them is a fake pornography unlicensed game. I remember this segment deeply.
Yeah, I feel like, obviously, again, John's got everyone beat with the insider trading or whatever, but, I mean, James, I feel like, has got a bit of an inside track on this one as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, we actually, I want to really impress upon the fact that in spite of what those segments became, they were probably the most meticulously planned segments on the telethon. Now, you wouldn't think that from listening to them. You would think they were absolute fucking buffoonery. But no, real thought went into those segments. Did it accomplish anything?
Sure. Those names one more time.
Yeah, let me put my voice
like a husky voice this time.
Let me put my voice saying this phrase on recording again. Yes, that's exactly what I want to do. Bubble Bath Babes, Hot Slots, Hot Spring Surprise, Peekaboo Poker.
I'm going with Peekaboo Poker.
You're saying that's not real.
I think that strip poker is too much of a thing, whereas I know one of those. I don't know. Like it sounds like
all 3 of the real ones,
right? But yeah, like Peekaboo Poker is not enough of a weird Japanese translated name,
Okay. I mean, that's a position to take on it. Would you like a piece of information that might? I will. Yeah. All right. You know what? Yeah, you're right. Let's go. All right. I will just say they are not actually, they might have been Japanese. Yeah. Now I think about it. Okay. Anyway, yes. Greg.
I'm pretty sure I've heard some mention of Bubble Bath Babes before. So, but that's only one. So I'm still guessing. I've really got nothing to go. I'm going to go with the Hot Spring one. It's fake.
The Hot Spring Surprise. Okay, John.
Hot Springs is mine.
So I'm Hot Spring Surprise is not one of the 3 games they made. That is correct. I will check the answer and confirm that just to make sure that maybe we did something weird and we fucked up in that segment. And no, it is Hot Spring Surprise is the correct incorrect answer. All right, let's lightning around some of this. What commodity did John state, quote, "I'm a businessman, so it's in my best interest to have access to blank at all times"? A, cocaine, B, psychics, C, private jets, D, Macho Man Randy Savage. Given that segment, it is entirely possible that any and all of those were accurate, but I think I remember how this went.
I mean, it's another one where it could have been all of the above, but I'm going with Coke. I think I'm
I mean, as a businessman, I need Macho Man Randy Savage at all times.
Definitely.
Get me the Macho Man!
Well,
I'm
that's
also
true.
going with cocaine.
I'll go with that nose candy
I actually
as well.
think it's psychics. Because I feel like we were talking about future business projections, and that was his... Like, I was grilling him, and he's like, no, I've got psychics. Fuck yeah, it's psychics. Hell yes.
Nice. Nice, James.
Those
Well done.
segments got really off the rails because, like I said, we planned them. They didn't stay on the plan. The plan got obliterated, but there was one in the 2017 J&J. Yeah, we did this shit like 4 times. They set out to. In 2017, J&J set their stall out for video game remakes that needed to occur. Which of the following did John not suggest? F-Zero GX, Super Baseball Simulator 1000, Super Mario World, and Demon's Crest.
I'm sorry. Like, who got points last time?
Me. Just me.
Yeah,
Okay.
just James.
Because my
Only
psychic
one.
powers.
Yes, they
So-
would have had the open enough mind to go there.
Yeah, so John did not recommend remaking one of these. F-Zero GX, Baseball Simulator 1000, Super Mario World, Demon's Crest. I feel like I know John has played Baseball Simulator 1000. He and I have talked about Baseball Simulator 1000. If we were both doing this segment, there's a non-zero chance we ended up there. But I feel like that's the one that least needs a remake because there's lots of baseball games out there, including arcadey ones, because this would have been after the first and second baseball. What was the
Super Mega Baseball?
Super Mega Baseball, yes. I feel like we'd have been safe. Actually, this would have been the Super Mega Baseball that was on Xbox, but not on Switch. I think 3 was the first one on Switch, but it would have been after the Xbox one. So as I feel like we'd have been covered. So I'm going to go with Super Baseball Simulator 1000.
I feel like I haven't heard John talk about Demon's Crest all that much.
Okay.
It's more something I associate with Greg and I. But yeah, I'm sorry, John, if you're a big Demon's Crest
John's
opponent.
covering up his Demon's Crest tattoo as we speak.
I'll
It's
never tell.
Firebrand brand.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna guess. I'm just gonna guess Super Mario World, just because I don't know. Just remaking that doesn't seem that pointful.
No, I'd agree. John?
I'll say Demon's Crest.
All right. The answer is, it is in fact Demon's Crest. Wow. Baseball Simulator being the first one of the things we jumped to, sure. 4. J&J saved the world by making a time capsule and dumping. Oh, this is the dumbest J&J segment of all of them.
This rings more of a bell. This one with me.
This is the stupidest one, and it's not close. And they're all stupid. This one is moronic on layers that I can't even begin to describe. J&J saved the world by making a time capsule and dumping a load of detritus inside it to be preserved after the world descended into chaos. This was before 2020. Which of these things did John not suggest? Gamer Grub, Tomonobu Itagaki's ISIS video for Devil's Third. There's an ISIS video for Devil's Third. I can't.
It comes up periodically because it doesn't stop being true.
We can't stop talking about it, is what you mean.
If we don't, someone will.
Mm-hmm.
Or no one will. Microsoft E3 press conference with the requisite car.
Oh, that is so in there. That is so in that time capsule. Good God. The car
again,
itself,
This is another one that I know the answer to because I've listened to this segment like 9 times trying to make sense of it. Or D, a bathtub with his dead PS Vita inside it. So, Gamer Grub, the ISIS video for Devil's Third, an entire Microsoft E3 press conference with the car, or a bathtub with a dead PS Vita inside.
And we're absolutely sure one of these isn't in there.
So I will tell you, I think I know the answer to this, but all of these were mentioned.
Sure, yeah, but maybe one was declared it wouldn't get in or something. It wasn't quite representative. And out of that lot, I've got to say, Gamer Grub's the weakest.
So that,
yeah. That's also my thinking. I was like, well, that's clearly the
I can tell you all 4 of these got mentioned. I will explicitly say that. So if you're to go with
but
Gamer
if
Grub,
one of them was going to get cast out as like it's not enough in the zeitgeist, then I think it'd be Gamer Grub. Because
this segment started normal, and then John started putting fucking weird. At some point, he's like, "I'm gonna put the car from the Xbox press conference. I put the whole press." I'm like, "John, what are we doing?" And then it was like we're putting live people in there, and it was fine. It was all downhill from there. John, what did you not put in the vault?
That's the thing I would have said. The car.
I just looked.
But
I'm locking in on Gamer Grub, and I just looked at the answer. Holy shit. We're fucking stupid, John. We're fucking stupid.
What was the last one?
The bathtub with your dead Vita inside.
Okay, I'll say that.
Okay. It is Gamer Grub, but the reasoning, and this, I hadn't forgot. I thought the reasoning was Johnny ate it all. I was close. John said, quote, "A certain Dr. Metz has hoarded it all away himself." Which is even worse than eating it all. He's taking it and hiding it.
It's in a survivalist bunker that's just full of Gamer Grub, so it's unavailable for time capsules.
Part 2 of the time capsule question, number 5. It was a.
Did everyone get points?
John did not get points.
Okay.
The rest of us went with Grub.
Thank
5.
you.
Excellent.
5. Part 2 of the time capsule, because again, this is an incredibly stupid segment. So as I'm reading 4, I'm like, he didn't even list the dumbest thing in here, and then I see there's another question about it. So that's cool. Part 5. It was a very big time capsule. So here's the same question again. Which of these items did John not suggest? Monster Energy drinks, a Hostess Club, Jeff Keighley, and the Gust Bellow Fellows.
I'd say Jeff Keighley.
Oh, Keighley's in there. He's definitely in there.
No way. There's no way. I would betray everything that I'm about if I put Jeff Keighley in there.
I think he was in there so that he wouldn't be like, alive doing the game.
I'm going to give y'all a cheat on this one, because when I said I can't believe they didn't include this as a choice, John Lindemann included a Hostess Club because Yakuza 0 was big and he wanted to like mark that occasion. So that was when I realized we're just putting fucking living people in our time capsule. Mm-hmm. That was the point where the whole segment went absolutely to fucking hell. I agree with John. I don't think he put Keighley in the. I don't remember Keighley being put in the time capsule.
I thought it was just like, he's like sealing Ganon away.
No, this was an earnest enterprise until John Lindemann trapped a bunch of attractive Japanese women in it.
If he's trapped in the time capsule, if he had been trapped in the time capsule in 2017, or imagine how many fewer Game Awards we would have had to go for.
But think about all the RFN Patreon podcasts we wouldn't have been able to do.
The Keighley Wars, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Well, I guess I'm going to go with Keighley then.
Okay. Greg, where are you going? You going with Keighley?
So we had the Hostess Club, Keighley. What were the other two?
Monster Energy drinks and the Gust Bellow Fellows.
Yeah, with Gust Bellows, I think you were quite proud of that. You'd want to put that for posterity.
I'm still quite proud of that.
So I'm going to go with Monster Energy. I mean, it's fucking, again, it's like Gamer Grub. It's just weak sauce. What's that fucking represent about anything?
John did not request to put Jeff Keighley in the time caps.
Oh. Just don't have the metal to do what is necessary to save the rest of it.
It's possible I might have put Jeff Keighley in the time capsule. This could be some like fucked up shit. Like, did somebody put him in there? And then with our last section, part 5, John Lindemann, the critic. What did John give his review score to the DS game Race Driver: Create and Race? 4, 6, 8, 9, 5. I'm going with 6.
5.
What's not a choice? 4, 6, 8. 5's not a choice. 4, 6, 8, or 9.5.
Oh, 9.5. Sorry, I don't know whether it got
like,
cut
stop
out.
saying
I didn't hear the point either. Yeah.
All right. 4, 6, 8, or 9.5.
And this is for Race Driver, Create and Race?
Race Driver: Create ampersand Race.
Got 6 then.
I'm going to go with 8.
I'll say 8. Yeah.
All right. The answer is... So we have 2 6s, 2 8s. The answer is... The answer... 8. Yes. An 8 out of 10 is how he wrote the answer.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Great. So that's what? Myself and... Who else? Oh, 8. No, I know. Actually, no, it's not. It's... John. It was John and...
Guillaume.
Guillaume, yeah. 8.
Yeah.
I'm so dumbfounded by this getting an 8 that him writing in the answer, yes, really, an 8.
I remember nothing about that game.
Nope.
Anything that would suggest the slightest
I've
thing
seen
about its
screenshots.
pedigree. So
I
Recently.
don't know. To me, like 8 is like like the well-made game by professionals or whatever.
I put that in the 7 category, but all right. Which of these games did John Lindemann review the highest? John, you have to answer this first. Life Science: Surgical Unit, Dirt 2, The Spiderwick Chronicles, or Tecmo Bowl: Kickoff. Spiderwick Chronicles.
What was the
go
second
ahead.
one?
Dirt 2.
Dirt 2 was garbage. I give that game like a 2 or something like that. I think Spiderwick, I give it like a 6. And then what were the other 2?
Tecmo Bowl Kickoff and Life Science Surgical Unit.
I would say the highest score is probably to Lifeline Surgical Unit or whatever it was.
I'm going with Tecmo Bowl. I feel like
I would go
that's...
Tecmo Bowl just instinctively, but it's not based on much.
I remember you talking about that game and liking it, but not loving it.
Yeah,
But it could
I
still
think I gave it a
be enough
7.
that it could be the highest, right? I
Right.
mean,
Life Science Surgical Unit was like a knockoff of Trauma Team.
Trauma Center.
Trauma
yeah.
Center,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
I
Guillaume?
have no idea. Life Science.
Okay.
Whatever.
I'll say Spiderwick is the funniest answer, but no one's
Oh,
gonna
it
go
had to
down
be.
that
That
rabbit
had to be in this section somewhere, didn't it?
hole. Yeah. Life Science Surgical Unit got a 6.5. Dirt 2 got a 4. Spiderwick Chronicles got a 6. And the highest was Tecmo Bowl Kickoff, which got a 7.
Yeah.
All right, Greg and James.
According to John's page on the NWR website, which films... Oh, this is the thing that we couldn't update for like a decade.
Yeah, it's just been frozen in time, right? Does that page even still work?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, it still does.
According to John's page on the NWR website, which films so this is probably a multi-choice one, considered to be in his favorites? The Rock, Swingers, My Cousin Vinny, Dante's Peak. John definitely picks My Cousin Vinny. I'm 100%. That's in. Lock it in.
Favorite movies. Dante's Peak, My Cousin Vinny.
Dante's
Swingers.
Peak's a weird one. It kind of strikes me as the kind of thing that's like very few people's favourite movie. Like you might enjoy it, but is it remarkable enough on any level to be a favourite movie?
It's just ridiculous. This is the level of in-depth discussion about such a topic.
So much research was put into this.
So ridiculous.
John, what are your favorite movies?
I mean, I
think
know
you're a
there's
much younger man when he said this. Though, and way
Yeah,
more movies
that's right.
have come out.
That's right. It goes back to the first email. 2008, John, what were your favorite movies?
I know one of them that's on there from that list, but
I feel like The
the
Rock.
other
I feel like I
ones-
should have gone with The Rock.
Absolutely. Like The Rock, again, like, yeah, it's got lots of risible things about it, but I could totally see that being on someone's favourite
Oh yeah,
movie.
but I'm sticking with
Dante's fucking Peak. I'm not buying it.
I'm sticking with My Cousin Vinny because it's the stupidest answer on here.
I do like my.
And I'm just thinking about like what
Swingers.
would John have? We controlled our own profile page. What would John have put on there? He'd have put that on there because he thought it would have been funny. Swingers, all right.
So
John,
what with the question again? Which how many are real and how many are fake, or what is it again?
it's which films are his favorites? Like I could say The Rock and My Cousin Vinny.
I'm gonna say The Rock is on there.
Okay.
I'm not confident
go-
enough about anything else.
I'm gonna go The Rock and the Swingers.
Okay, John.
I'll say just Swingers.
Just Swingers. All right, let's go find out. God, I hope it's My Cousin Vinny. That'd be so fucking funny. So fucking funny. It is in fact just Swingers. Damn it. Damn it. All right. Last question. Of course.
Fucking don't I speak? I don't get it.
Of course. All right.
It's
All
so
right.
fucking unremarkable.
So I'm going to award a bonus point to those of you here. I'm not eligible because I already know the answer. What is the last question about John Lindemann : The Critic about?
We already had Spiderwick. So is it?
When I say it, you're going to go like, oh, of course.
Is it about John having to chase down Carl's review of Battalion Wars 2?
No.
Is it about multiple copies of which one is it? Morrowind or
Nope.
or Skyrim?
No. This is about games John reviewed.
Oh, it's about fucking Conduit, isn't it?
It's about fucking
it has to
Conduit.
be. It has to be
Yes.
with Conduit. Yep.
Give Greg a point.
Game
All right.
significant. I mean, what are you gonna say?
Well, shut the fuck up because I'm about to read this
You know what I'm
question.
saying earlier on about how he can do things deadpan when it's facetious? Exhibit A, Your Honour.
Shut the fuck up. Let me read this question.
If I could fucking do Joe Pesci's voice from My Cousin Vinny, I would have done it.
John. Shut up. I need to get through this. John's review of The Conduit was significant. Which of these is... Fuck me! Which of these is a quote from the review? Only one. A. The Conduit sets a high bar for future first-person shooters on Wii. B. The derivative story and single-player mode disappoint, but the online multiplayer is excellent. I want to remind everybody that the first time RFN tried to stream this game, we all got kicked out for cheating. C. The Conduit's motion controls work like a charm, and throwing grenades is surprisingly satisfying. Or D. As jam-packed with features as this is, you'll be hard-pressed to find a better first-person shooter on the system.
Only
Ace-
one of this is real.
Yes.
I
Ace
like, so
sounds-
the online one seems to be the most
Yeah.
implausible, right? I ain't buying that one.
Yeah, like A feels a little too bland. Like I feel like so NWR's
I mean,
editing
did we settle whether John declared himself the flavour? Because I mean, if he did,
no, we
then he
haven't.
couldn't
We'll have to go
possibly
back.
write something
That's
that was
true.
accused
You're right.
of being bland.
You're right. But like the editing policy back then would have pushed on you for using something that doesn't like, just to say like this sets a high bar. Okay, we would have pushed you a
No,
little bit.
was that adjacent to like mixed bag? Because like
Yeah, that kind
you
of
got.
stuff.
Did you get your finger cut off for saying mixed bag? I forget now. The
It was a
punishment
mixed. It was a mixed bag. What happened?
It was reattached shortly after.
It's all in all, mixed bag.
Yeah,
Just drops the mic right. Somebody check if that's the last thing Carl ever wrote in a review.
it would be really good. I'm gonna go with. I feel like the.
Read them one more
The
time.
All
Read
right.
'em one more.
The Conduit sets a high bar for future first-person shooters on Wii. B.
Okay. Yeah.
Its derivative story and single-player mode disappoint, but the online multiplayer is excellent. C. The Conduit's motion controls The Conduit's motion controls works like a charm, and throwing grenades is surprisingly satisfying. I guess that would be a editing errors. Now I'm worried about the editing. Or D. As jam-packed with features as this is, you'll be hard-pressed to find a better first-person shooter on the system.
Man.
I feel like that last one is poorly phrased. No, I thought that like as jam-packed with features as this
was
is,
jam-packed on the band, sort of phrases list.
Greg is so salty over there.
I'm gonna go. I'm
The
gonna
band
go.
trying to hold me down.
I'm gonna go with C. I'm gonna go with C. This is a mixed bag of quotes.
D.
With B, you said?
D.
D. Okay.
Jam-packed.
Jam-packed.
I'll go with D.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's the only thing I feel confident is not B. So,
which is the one I picked. I went C. You're right. I went C.
No, there's definitely not. I'm gonna go A, even though it's there's not that much there, but I'm just that's what I'm going with.
Congratulations, gentlemen. We all get a point. These are all quotes from the conclusion segment.
Oh, yeah.
The fucking online was excellent. All I remember is you going on about how shit it was, but presumably that was because it was that experience that James referenced, and that's the only thing that stuck.
Yep. All right. That concludes. I'm reading. I'm back to the email. That concludes the inaugural John Lindemann lore quiz. God, just another one. I hope John takes us in the spirit of love and respect it was authored with.
The respect is just dripping off of it.
It's
congratulations
I'm humbled.
on 900 episodes. All right, Guillaume, who is the most John Lindemann lore informed? I'm not sure if I want it to be me or want it to definitely not be me. Like, I feel like they're both bad.
I'm terrible at note-taking. Question 6, I can't even tell if that was probably a 0 there for
Question
John.
6.
I think he...
Yes.
That was the one where I said all the answers. I got -3 for that one.
Okay. Yeah, that was the Muscle March one?
Yeah, I think John got it wrong, right?
Yes, only Greg and I got that one right, with the stack of man flesh.
Okay, so I'm still counting, but right now, John and James are ex aequo at 19. And you're probably both leading.
Oh no. It's a race between John and me. Who knows John best? What the fuck, man?
Yep. Well, at least I'm right there in the lead.
It would have been really funny if you were dead last. That would have been fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
I would have just cut the show to just be the conclusion, like to put the conclusion at the start and just be like, you're probably wondering how we got here.
Well, I'm not sitting here with these questions knowing every single one. I'm like, that sounds like something I would say.
I know, but even then, like, if you put a bunch of quotes from me in there, I assume I would be able to go like, that's James. That's a James.
Yeah.
And then Greg has 15, and because of my -3, I've got 12.
Damn.
Otherwise, yeah, I would have also gotten 15 probably.
I think you barely know me. It's ridiculous.
Well, none of these questions were about games I've never thought about for 1 second or knew existed.
That's smart.
Like, probably, yeah, like, but most of them were, like, while I was here. Like, I underestimate how long I've been here.
I know. Time will do that to you. So
okay. Well, I'm sorry. Maybe sometimes I don't fully pay attention to life signs or whatever.
I strongly
that was before you were here.
I strongly encourage just toning John out. It's a smart strategy. So are you telling me that John and I tied on who knows John the best?
Yeah, unless I miscounted. You guys are ex aequo.
That's actually the worst. I thought, like, was winning the worst or is losing the no, tying is the worst. That means John and I
thinking. It's less thinking for me to do. You know?
John and I equally know John. That's disturbed.
The only way a doomed enterprise like this could end is a sort of, Sherlock Holmes and Moriarty both go down Reichenbach Falls scenario.
Mm-hmm.
It couldn't have been anything triumphant.
No. All right, well, that's a fucked up way to end an episode. So emails, send them to rfn@nintendoworldreport.com. That's rfn@nintendoworldreport.com. You will get one more episode out of us this year, but we are pre-recording. It is Professor Layton, the Curious Village.
Yeah, and really, if you have a question for me, just send it to James. It's fine.
You'll get more of an answer of greater verisimilitude, or at least equal verisimilitude.
Yeah.
And possibly a
of
swifter
course, like
response.
you guys didn't score, the same points on the same questions.
No. So it's
like
it's the collective intelligence of the John.
Only
Lindemann.
in some aspects does James know John better than John knows himself.
Well, so the J&J Dream Factory lore, I assume I ran the score up.
Yeah,
So-
I get you. It's so true. To be honest, I think the World Anti-Doping Agency has got to look at this issue of like people who actually went through stuff being able to answer their own questions. It's not on, is it?
I
It's
would
an
strongly
obvious,
say
yeah.
that yes, being with John in the time capsule episode counts as going through it. Yes, absolutely. That I thought that was an earnest topic that we were going to have fun with, and then we're putting a fucking hostess club full of hostess in, and I'm like, oh boy, this has turned into I want to say I made the Pauly Shore Biodome joke at that point.
There's
so
definitely references to a biodome. I remember that.
so great. Greg, what is our music to wrap up this episode?
Well, it's from AG. Actually, so I guess that's it's a separate email, but it's kind of relevant enough because they had a kind of Christmassy suggestion a few weeks ago when I passed on their PlayStation anniversary suggestion because I already had one of my own, but that we also had something from the Final Fantasy mobile game Record Keeper, I believe it is, where they have a kind of special arrangement of Celeste theme from the Final Fantasy VI, which is also kind of the opera theme as well, because she performs in the opera. So it's that sort of motif has like a dual purpose in Final Fantasy VI. But yeah, because this particular sort of rendition of that, very kind of pretty well known, piece of Final Fantasy kind of music history, has I think it must have been part of like a Christmas event that they had for that mobile game. Because that's a thing that they do, isn't it? Mobile games a lot seasonal stuff, all that. So it does actually, at its conclusion, essentially segue, as AG noted in their email, into Joy to the World, just there to finish off. So I mean, what could be more appropriate than that at this time?
Great. All right, well, now it is time for us to go. Bye, everybody.
Later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh